Hello, my little mathematicians. Today, I'm going to help you get started and finish your study guide number 2, numbers 23 through 43 all. As always, feel free to pause the video, try it yourself, and then unpause it and come back to check yourself. All right, for number 23, when you go to graph this, you know it's at -4, so I'm going to draw a circle there. And there's no line underneath, so it's not including that point, so I'm going to leave it open and not shade it in. And then what's facing your variable? The great big open end. So where do numbers get bigger? To the right. Now, that trick that we said where the inequality sign matches your arrowhead is only if the variable's on the left. Since the variable's on the right, this is facing the opposite way. So instead of going to the left, it's going to the right. Or if you wanted to, you could rewrite it with the variable on the left. And since we flipped where the variable is, we want to flip the direction of the inequality. And now the inequality sign matches the arrowhead on your graph. Okay. This one, it's at 4, and there's a line underneath, so it's including that point. So I'm going to shade my dot in. And the great big open end is facing my variable, so it's 4 and all the numbers greater than 4. Or since the variable's on the left, the great big open end, or the arrow is facing that way. So there you go. The arrowhead matches the inequality sign. All right. For these ones, it says evaluate using the values given. So evaluate means you're going to substitute in what they say each variable is equal to. So for 25, 23 was on the paper, you have y plus 7 minus y plus x minus 4. Okay, and then that's my original. Anytime I see a y, I'm going to replace it with 7. And anytime I see an x, I'm going to replace it with 8. So replace the y with 7, bring down the plus 7 minus, again, another y, so another 7, plus an x this time, so 8, because that's what they said x is, minus 4. All right, and now I have numbers and I just follow PEMDAS. So within the parentheses first, I should add before I subtract from left to right. So that equals 15 minus 4. Okay, and then 15 minus 4 is 11. Okay, bring your other stuff down. Now, these equal 14 minus 11, and 14 minus 11 is 3. Okay, so hopefully you got the same thing for 25. If you didn't try 25 on your own first, why don't you try 26? 26 says y squared minus x minus y minus x. Okay, x is equal to 9 and y is equal to 10. So I'm going to replace the y with a 10 squared minus x they said was 9 minus y was 10 minus x was 9. Okay, so I have parentheses, and then within the parentheses I have parentheses. So 10 minus 9 is 1. Bring everything else down. And 9 minus 1 is still within parentheses, so that equals 8. All right, and now you have your parentheses down to a single number. So after parentheses come exponents. 10 squared is what? It's not 20, it's 100, because 10 squared means 10 times itself 2 times. So 10 times 10 is 100. Bring down your minus 8, and 100 minus 8 is 92. Okay, my next one, number 27, says 8m minus n squared all over 4, and they want m to be equal to 10 and n to be 4. So 8m means 8 times m is 10, minus n squared is 4 squared, all over 4. Okay, so simplify the top part. These 8 times 10 is 80, and 4 squared is 16. Okay, 80 minus 16 is 64. Now you have a single number over a single number. And when you have that, that means the top divided by, because that's what a fraction is, top divided by the bottom. Well, 64 divided by 4 is 16. Okay, number 28 says 8 plus j minus j plus h cubed, or to the third power, while h is 4 and j is 1. So 8 plus j is 1 minus 1 plus h is 4. Okay, so there's no parentheses, but I do have exponents. That means 4 times 4 times 4. 4 times itself 3 times. Well, 4 times 4 is 16, and 16 times 4 is 64. So that 4 cubed is 64. Bring everything else down. Now you only have addition and subtraction left. So when you're deciding between addition or subtraction, you just go from left to right. So 8 plus 1 is 9, minus 1 plus 64. 9 minus 1 is 8. And 8 plus 64 is 72. Okay. For my next one, number 29, it says, at a restaurant, Asani and his friends, or his 7 friends, decided to divide the bill evenly. If each person paid $20, then what was the total bill? Okay, so think about this. What do you normally do when you go to a restaurant? Normally, you take the bill, you divide it by how many people there are, and then that equals how much each person pays, right? All right, so they told me, did they tell me the total bill? No, they didn't. That's what we need to solve for. So when you don't know something, you write it as a variable, x. Then they said there's how many people? Hopefully you didn't say 7, because, Asani needs to pay too, right? Yeah, he has 7 friends, but that means there's a total of 8 people, because it's Asani and his 7 friends. And how much are each of them going to pay? $20. So how do you solve for your variable now? Well, x is being divided by 8, so the inverse of dividing is to multiply. I do that so that those cross cancel and become 1. Now you have 1 times x, or just x. You got x by itself. I can multiply by whatever I want to get it to cancel, as long as I do the same thing to the other side. So 20 times 8 is, 2 times 8 is 16, tack on a 0. That means the total bill was $160. Logic through it, double check. If it was 160 divided equally among all 8 people, yeah, you get $20 each. Perfect, that makes sense. All right, go to your next problem. Okay, 30 says Analia ran 8 miles more than Pranav last week. Anali ran 27 miles. How many miles did Pranav run? Okay, so I'm going to need to write this out a little bit first. Anali was, Anali equals 8 more than what? Pranav. Okay, so here we go. Now they told me that Anali ran 27. So then how many? We don't know how much Pranav ran. Okay, there you go. There's my equation. So now to solve for how much Pranav ran, you need to get rid of this plus 8. Well, the inverse of plus 8 is minus 8. I did that so that those would cancel, because 8 minus 8 is 0. And p plus 0 is just p. I isolated my variable. I can do whatever I want as long as I do the same thing to the other side. And 27 minus 8 is 19. So that means that Pranav ran 19 miles. Does that make sense? Well, it says Anali ran 8 more than Pranav. So Anali should have ran more. Yeah, 27 is more than 19. And it's exactly 8 more. Perfect. That makes sense. Again, please logic through your answer and make sure it makes sense rather than just accepting it. Okay, number 31. Last week, Jacob ran 10 miles less than Kyla. Okay. So Jacob is equal to 10 less than what? 10 less than Kyla. Okay. And then Jacob, so replace the J with 16.3. And now I can solve for how much Kyla ran. All right, well, to solve for K, how do you get it by itself? I need to get rid of this minus 10. What's the inverse of minus 10? Add 10. So now those cancel, because 10 minus 10 is 0. You just have K. And whatever you do to one side, you got to do to the other. Don't forget to line up your decimals. Okay, so 16 plus 10 is 26, and then just bring down that 0.3. So Kyla ran 26.3 miles. And remember, it says Jacob ran less. Well, or did it say Jacob ran less or more? Jacob ran 10 less than, and Jacob ran 16, and Kyla ran 26. Okay, yep, my answer makes sense. So you can move on. Next one, 32. At a restaurant, Joe and his 10 friends decided to divide the bill evenly. Okay, why don't you go ahead and try it if you haven't tried it yourself yet. Okay, you paused it, you unpaused it, you're back with us. So normally you take the bill. Do we know how much the bill was? No. We divide it by how many people there are. How many people were there? Well, it's Joe and his 10 friends. So his 10 friends plus Joe is 11 people. And then each person had to pay 6. So now you multiply both sides by 11 so that those cancel. Whatever you do to one side, you do the other. So now you have x by itself on this side because those cancel to become 1. 1 times x is just x. And then 6 times 11 is 66. So that means that the total bill was $66. Okay, 33 is nice. They already gave me the equation. I don't try to set it up one for myself. So to get b by itself, the inverse of multiplying by 10 is to divide by 10. Whatever you do to one side, you do to the other. We did that so those would cancel because anything divided by itself is 1. 1 times b is b. And 110 divided by 10, you should have gotten 11. Okay. For our next one, 34. X minus 4 equals 9. How do you get rid of the minus 4? Well, the inverse of subtracting 4 is to add 4. Whatever you do to one side, you got to do to the other. Now those cancel. You have x equals 9 plus 4 is 13. Okay, now we haven't been doing this, but one thing that's wise is you might want to check your answers. How you check, you write out your original equation. You then replace your variable with what you think the answer is. So I thought x was 13, so I'm going to substitute in a 13. Bring everything else down, and make sure it simplifies to a true statement. Well, 13 minus 4 is 9. Bring down your equals, 9. That's a true statement. You got 9 equals 9. So you know that 13 was the right answer. That's what I should write in the answer column. Okay, same thing with this one. My original was 110 equals 10b. So 110 equals 10 times, I think b is 11. 110 equals 10 times 11 is 110. True statement, 110 does equal 110. So 11 was the correct answer. I know that a lot of these you can just do in your head, but later on in the future, the problems are going to get really complicated. So you want to have the practice of knowing how to check your work. Okay, so that way you can catch if you made a simple mistake, because in the future, you may not just be able to do things in your head. All right, number 35 says x over 3 equals 10. And the inverse of dividing by 3 is to multiply by 3. Those cancel. X equals 10 times 3 is 30. And if you were to check, 30 over 3 equals 10, because the original was x over 3 equals 10. All I did was I replaced x with what I think the answer is. And 30 divided by 3 is 10. Bring down your equals 10. True statement. So yes, 30 is the right answer. Okay, number 36, last one of these ones. You have 9 equals 6 plus x. Okay, to get x by itself, I want to get rid of this positive 6, so I'm going to subtract it, so those cancel, because 6 minus 6 is 0. 0 plus x is just x. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So 9 minus 6 is 3. X is 3. To double check, 9 equals 6 plus x. Replace your x with what you think it is. 6 plus 9 is 9. 6 plus 3 is 9 equals 9. Yep, true statement, so perfect. 3 was indeed the right answer. 37. You have a triangle. Actually, for these, I might show it directly on the paper. Okay, you want to find the area of each one. What's the formula for area of a triangle? 1/2 base times height, or base times height divided by 2. Same thing. This little box connects your height to your base, okay, which is important because sometimes they'll put a number here and a number here, and you need to know which ones to pick. This number, and this number, the solid lines is when you're using perimeter, but that little box connects your perpendicular height to your base. So 8 times 3.8 are the ones you use if you're doing area. Well, half of 8 is 4, and 4 times 3.8 is 15.2. And since it was feet times feet, it's feet squared. Area is always your units squared. Perimeter is just singular units. Okay. Height is usually a dashed line. And so sometimes it's outside the figure and sometimes it's inside the figure. And it always connects your height to your base. Make sure, like, sometimes I highlight that box in the 2 lines it touches, because again, sometimes they'll give you extra pieces of information. They'll rotate the figure, and you need to know which numbers you should use in case they give you extra information. But for here, base is 11, height is 5.8, divided by 2. Last time I simplified before I multiplied, but you can just wait to simplify at the very end. Instead, you can go 11 times 5.8 and then divide that all by 2. Either way. Once you do that, you get 31.9 inches squared. Excuse me. Number 39. Another triangle. So base times height divided by 2. Your base, okay, even though it's way up here, this is actually your base because the height is inside here. So your base is 9. Your height is 5.2 divided by 2. Well, 9 times 5.2 is, type that in, 46.8, and 46.8 divided by 2, you get 23.4. And it was centimeters, so centimeters squared. All right, our last unit that we did, mean, median, mode, range. Let's see. It says men's height are in inches, and find the median and the mean for each of these. Okay, if I want to find the median, I have to put them in order from least to greatest. And they are not already in order. Okay, so the smallest one I see is 67. Okay, thank you for the mouse. Yes, go away. Okay, and then I see a 68. And then a 69 up there. Okay, a 70, a 71, a 72, 73, another 73, 75, and 79. Just to make sure, like if you accidentally forget one or you put one too many and then you cross off to find the median, you're already going to miss it if you don't have the right number of numbers if you forget one. So always count how many numbers were in your data set and then count how many you wrote down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Perfect. I have them all. So cross off till you get to the middle. So cross off from the beginning, then end, beginning, end, beginning, end, beginning, end, beginning, end. Okay, so sometimes usually there's one single number in the middle, but when there's not one single number in the middle, you just find the average of the 2 numbers it's between. So it's between 71 and 72. So find the average of those by adding them together and dividing by 2. And you'll find out you get 71.5 because, oh yeah, duh, 71.5 is halfway between 71 and 72. If you can just look at it, great. You don't have to do this part because 71.5 is between those. But if for some reason it was more complicated of the 2 numbers you were trying to find the median of, then you can always fall back on finding the average of them. Okay, so that's the median value. Now to find the mean, you add all the numbers in your data set and you divide it by how many there were. We said there was 10, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, so if I add all those, so type into your calculator, 70 plus 73 plus 71 plus 72 plus 75 plus 67 plus 69 plus 73 plus 68 plus 79. What do you get? 717, and you're going to divide all that by 10. So you get 71.7 for your mean. Okay, now if you didn't do this one on your own, please do this one on your own. All right, for the median, let's put them in order from least to greatest. I see a 15, another 15, and then a 16, 17, oh, another 17, and then I see an 18, another 18, 19, 21, and 21. Okay, count how many there were. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 again. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Perfect, I got them all. Okay, now cross off till you get to the middle. First, last, first, last, first, last, first, last, first, last. It's between 17 and 18. Well, halfway between those is 17.5. I don't need to find the average. I know that that's what's between them. But if you needed to, you could have gone 17 plus 18 divided by 2. You still have gotten 17.5. Okay, that is your median. First, list all the numbers from least to greatest, then cross off till you get the middle number. To find the average, or mean, you add them all together in your calculator and then divide by how many there are. So there's 10 numbers. Okay, so type in 16 plus 19 plus 15 plus 15 plus 21 plus 17 plus 18 plus 18 plus 21 plus 17. You get 177. And when you divide that by 10, you get 17.7 for your mean. Okay, last two. Or actually last three. I have 8x plus 5x. I'm just going to rewrite this over here so I have more space. Equals 26. Okay, those are like terms, so I can combine those. 8x plus 5x. When you have like terms, they both have x's. Just add the coefficients. 8 plus 5 is 13. X equals 26. Okay, now these are being multiplied, so the inverse of multiplying is to divide by 13. So you get x equals 2. Okay, for 43, again, these are like terms, so just combine the coefficients. 10 minus 2 is 8, x equals 2. Well, these are being multiplied, so the inverse of multiplying is to divide. What's 2 divided by 8? It's not 4. It's 1/4. And if you're wondering why, well, if you were to reduce that by 2, 2 divided by 2 is 1, 8 divided by 2 is 4. So you get 1/4. Okay, last one. These are like terms, so combine your coefficients. 15 minus 3 is 12. So you have 12x equals 144. To get x by itself, the inverse of multiplying is to divide. Now these can cancel because anything divided by itself is 1. So you have 1x, or just x. And whatever you do to one side, do the other. 144 divided by 12 is 12. Remember, for all of these, you can always substitute back in what you think the answer is to check, and you should get the same answer. So 15 times 12, and then you would subtract 3 times 12, which is 36. Okay, when you subtract those two, you should get 144. Same thing with the others. You can always substitute them back in, and you would get the same correct answer. All right, my little mathematicians, if you got 100% on those, congratulations, you're going to ace it. And FYI, these are probably more of a Math 7 question, but you'll see it just next year, so we wanted to throw it on there.